Second three. I hope you are fine. Today we're talking about the reproduction flowering plant. We know that the flowering plant, the flower is the reproductive organ, as we have two types of plant, angiosperm and gymnosperm. Angiosperm, their seeds grow inside coat or precarp, but gymnosperm don't have precarp. Today we're talking about the angiosperm and the flower inside it. What is the flower? Flower is the reproductive organ, and it's also the short stem which the leaves are modified into floral parts. Let's talk about the flower and the floral parts here. Let's get the structure of the flower. Here's the typical flower. It consists of pedicle and receptacle, which is the swollen part here. Also, we have green part, which is called sepal, and many one of sepals called calyx, and its colored part, which is petal, and collect together by forming corolla. Also, we have male reproductive organ, which is called andrecium, and it's divided into one is called anther, and the other one is called filament. Anther and filament. Here, this part is called female reproductive organ, and this female reproductive organ it's called ovary, and this ovary it contains ovules, and this one is called carpel, and many carpels called gymnosperm. It consists of stigma and style and ovary. Inside the ovary there is ovule. It's a typical flower here. Let's start this part as the flower maybe with bract that comes from leaves, or without bract, maybe sessile or maybe stalk. And the solitary flowers, it have maybe apical one or axial. If it's apical, it doesn't stop. It is apical, it stops, but the axial not stop. Here, the growth of the stem. Here, if we have a group of flowers, it's called inflorescence. Group of flowers, aggregation of the flower in one axis, is called inflorescence. Like this one, it's called inflorescence. The first row here, the flower is called calyx, is the green part, it's called sequence of sepals, and its function to protect the inner part of the flower. And second part is called corolla or calyx, and its colored part, and it protects, it attracts insects and protects the sexual part of the insect. The third part we said about the andrecium, which is a stamen, consists of what? Consists of anther and filament. Anther is the four sacs of pollen grains, and the filament is carried by ants, and its function to produce pollen grains. Here is the female part, which is called gynecium, and here is the gynecium, and it consists of ovary, stigma, and style, and forming ovules. Here, what's the function of the flower? The flower forming pollen grains and forming ovules, and also pollination and fertilization, and help in pollination and fertilization. Also, it's used for making fruits and seeds. Here is the typical flower, as we said, and let's start with the first function for the flower, which is pollen grains formation. If we get transverse section of the flower, we can see the pollination process here. The anther have micro sporocytes or microspores that divided meiosis first to divide into four cells which have half number chromosome, and then they are separated into microspore, and this microspore is divided mitotically, then forming two nuclei, which is called vegetative nuclei and generative nuclei, tube nucleus and generative nucleus, and they are coated with thick coats, and there's a forming of pollen grains here. Here the pollen tubes formed pollen tubes from the tube nucleus, and the generative nucleus forming the anther and forming the four sacs of anther to form the pollen grains. So here, during the flower development, before the formation of pollen grains, there are sacs full of large nucleated 2N called spore mother cells, and each spore mother cell divided mitotically into four haploid cells, microspore. Then each microspore divided mitotically to form generative cell and tube cells, and each one of these nucleus or cells forming tubes and forming pollen grains. And the formation of ovules will continue inshallah in next video. بإذن الله inshallah next week. Thank you, and study this part well.